Welcome back to another video. I've been gone a wee bit, but now we're back with some pre-buff gameplay of Mr. Fantastic. The buff I'm looking forward to the most because I actually really like Mr. Fantastic in his current state. He is my favourite regen reverse champion, and we're just going to have some fun using that today. We're going to apply the top two debuffs here, the Petrification Ray and the debuff Siphoner. You don't want to touch the bottom one, the Suppression Field, as it reduces the defender's defensive combat power rate by an annoying amount, and we really want to have as much power as we can in order to get him to the SP2 on a consistent basis. If we combine the Suppression Field with the Abyss ability, it's just going to make it that bit harder and more annoying to get Darkhawk to that SP2, and we're probably going to see him through the SP1 a lot more, so we avoid that one like the plague. Okay, so moving on to the fight. The plan here is just to refresh the pre-fight debuffs at every given opportunity. The way we do that is we knock down the defender. But if you know Darkhawk, you know when you knock him down, you're going to get him into stealth mode or refresh stealth mode. And that means it's going to be a lot of auto blocking. So you will see me backing up a lot after each heavy attack. That's both to make him charge me so I can get an easy parry, it's just the way I like to do things. But also, it stops Darkhawk from using his SP1 for the most part. Because we want him to get the SP2, because when he switches stances, then he gets that regen buff. That's really the plan here, is just to use that regen buff. We're going to reverse it, and we're going to watch him melt. We're going to throw two SP2s of our own. We need to do that in the middle of the battlefield, so we've got enough space in order to react to Darkhawk charging at us, because he will auto block it. He is in shield mode for 90% of this fight, but there is enough time if you're in the middle of the battlefield to react, parry or evade Darkhawk if he charges you, and he will on my next special attack. But now we've got two sets of the pre-fight debuffs, we can now start to reverse that healing he's got. He will use his SP1 from time to time, like he just did there. So don't worry if he does that, it's not a massive problem. Just keep going as you are and keep parry heavying. It's not the biggest problem in the world if he uses the SP1. You're not going to get the regen reversal, but don't panic if he does that. Now here you see we did have enough time there to parry him once he charged us after auto blocking our special 2. But now we're at maximum pre-fight abilities here. We've got 3 of each, so now we're going to see the maximum amount of regen reversal. And look at those tasty numbers. We get 2 sets of a regen buff from changing stances, and those are some nice massive red numbers. Look at his health just drop. I do have 3 out of 3 in despair, and I would recommend that probably at all times. It just helps across the board. It is part of my regular mastery setup, and it is an amazing mastery. So now my attention turns to the Abyss ability. We have all the debuffs we're going to get on Darkhawk, but now I need to turn my attention to that ability. If you don't know what Darkhawk can do in the Abyss, when you hit him 10 times, he would steal all your power and gain it for himself. Because we have 3 petrifies on Darkhawk, when he hits that 10th hit, instead of stealing, well, he does steal it, but instead of gaining it himself, he will now lose junk power. Now that can really hamper our cycle, because we can push him above 2 bars of power on the 10th hit. Because he was above it and then loses power, he will be below it and be back in the SP1 range. If he does throw that, it can get a little bit annoying. So that's kind of why I've been saying parry heavy, back up. Because once we get to this stage, it's really helpful when you've got a distance and he's charging all the time instead of just throwing that SP1 at range. It just helps get him to an SP2 more easily and keep the fight going. You know, rather than changing up our style midway through the fight, like you have to do on the Grandmaster at each stage, we're keeping the same consistent style going, same method throughout the fight, and it just makes it a lot easier. You don't have to think of anything else, and yeah, it just makes it super simple. Now, as I've been rambling on here for the last couple of minutes, we're only 45 hits in, and Darkhawk is well under 50% health. He's melted more than 1 million very quickly. So this does make me say Mr. Fantastic in his current state is the best heel reverse champion we have in the game. Coupled with a couple of mechanics he has, it just makes everything just so good. If you did go full Synergies and had the constant degen in Fantastic Four, or if you don't want to take all them into the Abyss, which is pretty much what you won't want to do, you can use the She-Hulk Synergy for Power Sting, and it does get pretty nasty. So I am looking forward to the buff. Hopefully it is a pretty solid buff, and Mr. Fantastic can be used in other aspects of the game. This is really where he shines at the moment, so I am really looking forward to seeing how this goes with the buff, and if it is actually a buff, because in the past, well, recent past, they've not always been buffs. Take Hood for example, not everyone agreed that was a buff and that got reversed. So hopefully this one that is incoming is pretty spicy. Hope you've enjoyed this showcase of Mr. Fantastic in his pre-buffed state. I'm looking forward to doing the same fight after he's been buffed and comparing the two, see if it actually is a buff, and we'll do some other videos with him as well and see, hopefully it is a banger of a buff and he's not just a regen reversal champion or a pre-fight like he is in his current state, but time will tell. Drop us a wee comment in the comment section below, let me know who you used on this Darkhawk fight, and maybe you're going to now use Mr. Fantastic, because he will still be a regen reversal machine and be very good for this fight and other regen reversals in the game. Anyway, enough from me, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one. All the best.